Hey everybody, welcome back to Equity Guru. I've got Mike Stier from Saga Metals here. Mike is in the third day since IPO, so he's got a smile on his face rather than furrowed brow that he's had for the last year. Mike, welcome to the world of public markets. How's it feeling?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Great to talk to you again today. It's feeling great. You know, it was a bit of a lead up there to getting through the IPO, but first few days of trading have been going well, and we've got numerous catalysts to discuss over the next several months here as far as news releases go. You know, while we are kind of wrapping up our summer programs, that doesn't mean that the news flow is going to stop. If anything, it's actually going to ramp up pretty intensively over the next few months, and try not to focus too much on the short-term trading, whether it be minute by minute or day by day here. Only in the short term here, mainly because I think this is a great entry point for future investors, and there's a lot that we have going on, and working with Michael Garrigan, our Chief Geological Officer, to put all of that together and start putting it out to the world to see.
So you've decided to come out the blocks not with one resource to target, not two, but five. You've got uranium, you've got lithium, you've got titanium, vanadium, iron, and it's all out in the Maritimes. You haven't done the Me Too thing and just plopped down in Saskatchewan like everybody else. What attracted you to that part of the world, and what's the general thinking behind all of those critical minerals?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, it was very important to put together a diversified portfolio of critical minerals. Having five is definitely something within our purview, and we're able to kind of advance strategically. We do have our flagship property, which is the uranium asset, and we'll slowly move forward the iron ore and titanium vanadium projects. Of course, we've done our Rio Tinto partnership, the lithium asset, which kind of takes care and makes us a bit passive on the lithium side of things right now, but leaving it in the hands of a company such as that is obviously the best thing that we could have done given the current state of the market. But
You
yeah,
couldn't possibly have got a bigger, more respected partner for that asset.
no, definitely not. I mean, Rio Tinto is obviously one of the largest mining and exploration companies in the world, and we're super excited to have them on board. And they're actually currently on our property right now, conducting their second field program. So looking forward to getting an update from them on what they're observing on the ground, and putting a news release out in the coming weeks as far as that's concerned.
Your average retail investor looks at lithium and thinks, right now, because of the general macroeconomic outlook for it. But to have attracted a partner of that size to your lithium property really indicates that there's a future there. There's something there that those guys have done their due diligence on and think is super interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think the benefit for us is that a company like, Rio Tinto, they're wanting to find these discoveries on their own. Of course, they could go in and probably buy Patriot battery metals tomorrow if they wanted to, but they think that there's a lot of prospective ground, not only across the world, but specifically in James Bay and the lithium district that we find ourselves in. It's becoming one of the most important hard rock lithium districts in the world, and they're doing their due diligence to find these projects so they can move these grassroots projects forward, and find and discover and develop a mine on their own. So for us to do a $44 million two-stage earn-in option agreement with them made the most sense for us. They're not concerned about short-term lithium prices, and to be honest, neither are we. They have a much longer time horizon when they look at it. It does, of course, help when you've got Chinese companies such as cattle that's reducing their production. It kind of just puts a little bit of a boost in the marketplace to signify that the supply is going to be much needed elsewhere. Not to mention the fact that obviously North American companies are trying to shore up their own supplies of lithium. So again, just more importantly, we're passive on the lithium side, allowing Rio Tinto to do what they're doing. It allows us to focus on our other projects. We didn't do our deal based on the price of lithium. We did our deal based on the prospective nature of our property, given our geological footprint, as well as what's going on in the eastern part of James Bay with respect to the other notable projects in the area that we happen to be contiguous with in a structural trend.
And that deal with the big boys also gave you a little bit of financing that you can put towards the uranium project, right?
100%. Yeah, they've already given us our first payment of $410,000 Canadian. It was received a few weeks ago, and it's been a great addition to the treasury as we've been moving forward our programs on our other properties while we were waiting to close out the IPO, which we just did on September 23rd.
So a lot of companies, a lot of exploration companies, they hit the exchange, they do the RTO thing because it's quick. They get out there and start pumping, and the big deals with the big boys come down the line. You established your legitimacy before you even were tradable. Was that a strategy or just the way things fell?
I think it's just kind of how timing worked. I think it's also just sort of a testament to what we're trying to do from a corporate standpoint. Like being public really had nothing to do with us trying to advance these projects and build shareholder value. I mean, even at that point, we already had 40 some odd shareholders, so there's always a reason to be building and creating value within the organization. But timing was really, I guess, the factor in terms of we had just obtained our results from 2 3 week programs that we did last summer. We put together a data room, and we reached out to some of these other notable companies in the area as more advancements were occurring by these other companies that were contiguous to us in Eastern James Bay. So, it just all kind of came together appropriately, and really it's just that's something that we did as a private company, but it's also something that we're going to be doing as a public company. There's no short of major companies nearby, even with respect to some of our other projects, like our uranium project. We've got Paladin Energy that's about 30 kilometers north of us. That same thing. As we advance our project, we'll reach out to these bigger companies and just start letting them know who we are and what we're doing. And it's exactly what we did with Rio Tinto, and the partnership came along. So.
I always think that it's a great sign when a small company has due diligence done on them by a much larger company that has lawyers and accountants and people to dig in much deeper than you or I, and give you the thumbs up. In an industry where there are a lot of ne'er-do-wells, it's nice to have someone go through all of your trash and think, yeah, these guys are not just good enough to do a little business with, but a lot of business with.
Absolutely. It's definitely a rigorous process. I mean, even at the outset, when everyone seems to be friendly in the conversations, and kind of sets the tone for trying to do a kind of quote unquote, quick transaction, it always ends up taking more time than you think, because there is the necessary level of due diligence required to complete something of this nature, especially with a company as large as Rio Tinto. And we moved through the process as appropriately as we did, and at the end of the day, we got it done because they were able to validate what it is that we currently have, where we are, and sort of what's going on, and obviously it's a testament to the fact that they're on the ground right now. Like, they were eager to get out there and get it done, and off we go. So super excited to see what they find, and we're right there working with them in a technical committee capacity to review their programs and the results and all that kind of stuff. So we'll be sharing all those details with shareholders as it comes to us, for sure.
Does that deal elevate your status in certain boardrooms when you're dealing with brokers and deal guys and family offices and potential investors?
It certainly helps. I mean, it validates obviously management's ability to find these projects, and I'll throw the kudos to Michael Garrigan, our chief geological officer, who I just couldn't be doing this without him. I mean, he's been a 15-year exploration geologist, comes from a family of geologists, and he knows how to find this stuff. I mean, we're in Labrador because it's one of the most overlooked jurisdictions, not only in Canada, but probably arguably the world. It's one of the best jurisdictions to be in. Definitely a favorable provincial government and local communities as far as what it is that we're doing and the ore bodies that we're trying to go after. And it's just been extremely overlooked. They had Voisey's Bay excitement, obviously, back in 94, 95, and that kind of fell off when the Bre-X scandal occurred. And then you had a massive uranium rush back between 2006 and 2008. And then that kind of fell off when they put a moratorium on for 3 years. But they only did it because they didn't really know they had uranium in the province. No one had really rushed in to do exploration for uranium in Labrador before. And so when that came on, they just hadn't had time to develop their policies and talk to local communities. anyways, that lasted 3 years. They did lift it. They're obviously pro uranium moving forward, but uranium kind of had a hard time. Fukushima occurred at that point, and uranium prices hit rock bottom. But when you kind of put it into perspective, this province has only had those two major rushes. It's got the same Archean rocks, the same Canadian shield as Quebec and Ontario, and you just have to ask yourself, where are the mines? It's not because they're not there or they don't have the potential to be there.
Yeah.
It's just a major overlooked jurisdiction, and Michael Garrigan's done a fantastic job of sourcing out the projects that we have. It's also a testament to how we've been able to keep our cap structure so tight in terms of the deals that we've made or the claims that we've staked directly from the government. So now we're super excited to be in Labrador, and we think that we're on to something special in that jurisdiction for sure.
And the first big discovery that the gates are going to open to all the people that have Me Too'd out in the prairies.
Absolutely. I mean, as more and more of what we're doing and what some of the other companies are doing in the area, then you'll start to get another rush, I'm sure,
Yeah.
in there. But for now, we've kind of got it's open for us to pick at while no one else is paying attention. For
Amazing.
sure.
Is the strategy to continue looking for opportunities for more assets, or is it to get boots on the ground and really gear up what you've got?
Yeah, so I mean, we're pretty focused on our projects right now. As I mentioned, Michael Garrigan being in the field on the uranium project. There's just a lot to do with the projects that we have. But with that being said, you're always kind of in QGIS, which is an exploration software program that we use for tracking all of our data and whatnot. So it's obviously hard not to come across different opportunities and things like that. And we'll always keep our eyes and ears open. But for now, we're very much focused on advancing our current projects for sure.
Good enough. So I know that you're going to have a lot of news planned over the next 3 to 6 months. Part of that is going to be assays of what you found on properties. I know you can't say much, but I wonder how big your smile is on the expectation of what you're going to find.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, I'll start by sort of saying that I actually just got back from Labrador myself. I'm based just outside of Vancouver in British Columbia. So I spent last week in Labrador with Michael Garrigan on two of our properties, the titanium vanadium project, it's called the Radar project, and then our uranium project, which is the Double Mer project. And I can tell you, I was like a little kid running around a playground out there. Like it was pretty exciting. I mean, I had Michael Garrigan on the Radar Titanium Vanadium project had already been there in July, and last year, if you look at our maps, we had a zone called the Hawkeye Zone that was identified. It's about a 3.5 kilometer by 500 meter zone. We were hitting about almost 7% titanium and then almost 4,000 ppm vanadium. And we had come across some geophysics from a local prospector, and it was kind of highlighting some other anomalies to the west of our Hawkeye Zone. We've now aptly dubbed it the Trapper Zone, and so he's already kind of it's running about 4 kilometers, 4.5 kilometers right now. And there was this zone that he hadn't gotten to yet that's just south that would kind of show that it's extending. Anyways, he flew me around the property, and we checked out some of the zones he'd already been to, showed me this amazing part where you talk about a textbook layered mafic intrusion, and they pulled apart all the cover and exposing the rock, and you can see the layers perfectly defined in the rock. It's actually really cool to see. So anyways, after he had finished showing me all of that, I said, hey, let's go out to that zone that you haven't been to yet, and let's check it out. And so we went. We had our rock hammer and all that kind of stuff, and I started pulling back some of the cover and chipping off the rock. Even the pilot got involved, and he was in there digging away. And of course, you chip off some of the rock, and you have what's called a magnet pen. It's what you're using to kind of discern whether there's magnetite in the rock or not. It's going to be magnetic. And so we take the rock and you stick the pen to it, and it would just dangle there, free hanging from the rock. And so anyways, I chipped off one. Mike's sitting there writing his sample card out, bagging and tagging it, while I'm running off down the way, banging off some more rocks, and he just had to follow my trail as I was kind of running through. And obviously, we have to wait for the assay results of those, about 10 additional samples that we had taken. But just based on the magnet pen, there's magnetite in that rock, and so it's extremely exciting to see that zone very much extends. And so I'm really looking forward. The assay results on the other samples that we've already released in our previous news release are now just trickling in. So I'm very excited to be able to release those in the next, call it, week or two. And then on the uranium property, we went to that property the next day, and little bit of a different thing. Obviously, it's not, you don't have a magnet pen because you're not looking for anything that's magnetic. You're looking for uranium, obviously, and so you use what's called a scintillometer, which is detecting the radiation levels in the ground. So when you see in our news releases, we talk about counts per second, or CPS. That's the readings that we're getting off of this machine. And so it makes a sound, like kind of just sort of like a ringing sound. And when you start to get to, 7, 8, 9, 10, and above 1,000 CPS, it just goes off like a really high pitched sort of scream almost. And same thing, like I'm running, I'm running around there checking out all these different rocks as this thing's just screaming at me. Especially in this one area to the western side, like literally everywhere I ran back and forth. It's super cool to be able to be out there and see it for myself, and be able to come back and just report that level of excitement based on the observation. I could see the uranophane right on the rocks myself, which again, for those that don't know, uranophane is essentially the oxidization of uranium minerals hosted within the pegmatite. So all very encouraging things. Those rock samples were dropped off about a week ago, and so I expect those assay results to be forthcoming over the next 3-4 weeks, kind of thing. So lots to talk about for sure.
Quick timeline. So you're hitting the ground running, and the scintillometer is screaming, and I'll tell you, like, as you were going through the process of going public, uh, sitting down with you on a Zoom call, you're very sort of furrowed brow and very, I've got a lot of stuff to do, and let's get through it. And the smile on your face right now after playing with the rocks is definitely notable.
Yeah.
Uh, so I love it when a plan comes together, and it looks like Saga's really coming together right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't be more thrilled that we're finally public. You always get that from people as you're going through the process of, when is it going to happen? What's the date? When are you going to be trading? Is it, and so we don't have to deal with that anymore. We're public, we're here, we're out there, and we've just got so much stuff on the go. It's going to be exciting. So
Amazing. Well, man, I appreciate your time, and we'll talk again soon. And keep making sure people know of your progress, because with the way the general market is out there right now, there's a lot of CEOs buying rope. And it's always good when a story starts to really ratchet things up.
yeah, no, for sure. I mean, the other I guess note I'll leave you with before we sign off here is that while it is exciting what's going on our property specifically, I think it's important to note kind of just what's happening in the industry. I'll keep it specific to uranium at this point in time, but I'm not sure if you saw, but you've got Constellation Energy and Microsoft that are working together to bring 3 Mile Island back online, which is not only significant, just highlighting the fact that from an AI perspective, they're just understanding that it requires so much energy to run these, and it's definitely a space that's not slowing down. They need to find clean renewable energy, and the fact that they're bringing back online a power plant that was arguably, well, it was the
It killed the industry
largest
for a while.
yeah, it was the largest uranium catastrophe in the US, just kind of highlights the shift right now that we're seeing for the acceptance of the uranium moving forward. That was just, I think, a very pivotal move. You're seeing a lot of things happen with uranium companies specifically, but you get a company like Microsoft that's bringing that online. That's, I think, just something that's a huge testament to the industry. Not to mention, too, you've got the Chinese government just announcing a massive stimulus package that not only is a catalyst driving commodities of all kinds, not just uranium, but it just again further supports the movement that's occurring within the resource sector in general. And then you've got, on the heels of announcement that 14 major banks and financial institutions around the world are supporting essentially uranium clean energy, bringing on nuclear power plants or small modular reactors trying to triple the capacity by 2025 with about 22 different countries supporting this movement. And so again, just a lot of things in the industry going on from a uranium perspective. And I think our timing for what we're seeing on the Delaware property, and just the advancements we hope to make on there, getting into a drill program, heading into the winter. It's very exciting, just all things coming together. Our company standpoint, macro environment, industry standpoint, lots forthcoming.
Amazing. Well, so we've got it covered in the 3 months, the 6 months, and 6 years. All good stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, man. Well, let's talk again soon.
Sounds great. Thanks,
That's
Chris.
Mike Stier from Saga Metals. SAGA is your ticker symbol. Go out and add it to your watch list and keep an eye on what's going on.